I've been working with a coach recently as part of my personalized coaching program. And essentially what I'm doing is I am working alongside a coach and I'm observing their classes via video recording. And then I'm giving them 4 sessions where we go over observations, challenges that they're having, or things that they really want to be able to work on within their class. I use something called the M.A.T.S Framework. This is a framework that I have essentially created over the last 12 months, which goes through each 4 areas of your kids program that I feel, when managed successfully, creates holistically sound, successful kids programs. So M stands for manage, A for adapt, T for teach safely, and S for support. This is the backbone of how I use my personalized coaching program to be able to support my coaches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a little bit about what I've been doing with this particular coach. So we are looking at our first week, we did something around manage. Now, when I talk about manage, I mean managing your expectations, your boundaries, managing your behaviors, managing your own emotions as well is a really big one, because when we're able to manage our expectations, our boundaries, something about our reintegration strategy. So, if a child, for example, doesn't meet our expectations or our boundaries and they're crossed, or for whatever reason something happens and we ask a child to leave the mats, or we, are creating that discipline process, I also think it's really important to be able to create reintegration processes. So how are you then getting the child back involved into the program safely, back into the program happily? And this is all part of that manage section. Now, if you are not able to manage the behaviors of your room, you're going to have a very difficult time being able to teach. It was the same thing when I worked as a teacher in a classroom. You go to university, they teach you how to do all of this amazing stuff, and you're going to teach this and you're going to do that. But essentially, you don't learn how to behavior manage. And I feel like it's kind of similar in Jiu-Jitsu. Like, you spend all of this time in your life learning Jiu-Jitsu and you are really solid. You're a fantastic athlete. You're a fantastic, you've got your black belt. You've got all these things or whatever it is. And then you realize that you don't know how to manage a room. When I start with my coaches, and when I'm starting with this coach, it is essentially, how can we relieve the stress that you are feeling to manage the environment better so that you feel happier when you go home. You're not stressed and you're not overwhelmed. So the first thing that I did with this particular coach, which was suitable and personalized to their environment, and I want to stress this really heavily, is that each time I work with a coach, everything is individualized. It is not a one-size-fits-all program. This is 100% what is tailored to what you need. So this coach in particular is working in an environment with lots of children and some assistant coaches who are helping, but essentially he really does need to be able to step back that little bit. And so we're creating a process here where we're going to use some children, some older children, for a leadership position. So I like to call it the BJJ buddies. And in the BJJ buddies, essentially what I'm asking them to do is what I've written here is like, they set the tone. So they help with equipment, they help with boundaries, they help with transitions. And those kids are chosen. I like to do like a daily basis, because sometimes kids don't come like every day throughout the week. And when I spoke to this coach, I said, like, choose kids of all different variabilities. So for example, you want to choose one of your higher belts, you want to choose one of your already like leaders, you want to choose maybe like a younger one who really wants to be able to show that they can do it. They want to be that leader. But you also want to choose someone who maybe isn't a leader, maybe someone who is a little bit silly in your class, maybe somebody who would actually thrive with the right attention. Because I personally don't believe in bad behavior. I believe that there is always a reason behind a behavior, and sometimes it is they don't care how they get the attention. The attention can be good, the attention can be bad. So let's provide them a space where they can get good attention. And so this particular environment here, I have said to this coach, just use one of those. Do not put more than one of your like troublemakers in that position, or otherwise it's actually just creating more work for yourself. So he is going to choose 3 to 4. That's probably suitable for the amount of children he has on the mats at a time. And he's just going to start getting them to do things for him. So things like, okay, like when they go to line up, those kids could be there and be like, hey guys, don't forget, like come and line up. Or like, hey Fred, like, can you go grab that box for me? Hey, Kate, can you go and like put those cones out for me, please? And so it kind of relieves a little bit of you as the coach's pressure, because you're trying to manage the behavior, you're trying to manage the group, but then you're still trying to set up equipment and you're still trying to do all of these things at once. It's very difficult for you. And when you don't necessarily have the engaged support of assistant coaches, or if your assistant coaches are still learning, or for whatever reason, this is a good way to be able to create that peer learning, that leadership opportunity. And I'm really excited to see how he goes with this one. The next thing that we kind of had a look at is I really wanted to talk about feedback as a way of collaboration and community. When I finish my games, my kids give feedback. And something that I feel like it can be miscommunicated or misunderstood. When we say, okay, you don't want to keep your instructions too long, you don't want to sit your kids down for too long because they're going to lose focus or they're going to be not engaged, and that's when their behaviors start going a little bit, is you still need to provide feedback or opportunities for that feedback, because that's opportunities for you as the coach to be able to learn too. So I like to say, in this particular instance, I've said like start with a closed question. So when I say closed question, I mean like this is the question that really only requires a one-word answer. And when we say a one-word answer, I mean like a yes, no, good, bad. If you sit down in your class and you say, how did you go? They're gonna say, good, and then what? That's not really giving you that much feedback. So then we say, okay, they have given you the feedback. How did you go? Good. Okay, now what was good? What did you feel like you were better at? Top player or bottom player? What did you prefer to be? Top player, bottom player? What did you have more success with? Would you use this in your games? Why? Why not? And these then become open-ended questions. And that's when you're going to really start to see that collaboration, because they're gonna have to give you more than one word. If you ask someone like, what was the most successful part of your training, or like, how did you pass? They can't just say good. They have to actually give you something back and use that feedback to kind of filter how you then keep progressing throughout your session. Because remember, we want to be able to adapt. That's our next part. So then we're talking about how we use this feedback to be able to plan our sessions, but also get immediate feedback on what we felt like they got, what we feel they didn't get, and how to keep moving forward from there. The thing that I really think is important here is, I have said here, be prepared that they might give you feedback that you don't like. They could have simply thought the game was boring. And this is still feedback, and it's important to not dismiss it. So if a kid sits there and they're like, it was boring, it's still feedback. Why are they bored? Was it because it was too easy for them and they didn't feel challenged? Was it because it was too hard and they couldn't do it? I find this tends to be the biggest one, is that they're like, oh, this is boring. And I'll be like, why? Why was it boring? And they're like, oh, I couldn't do it. That's your feedback. It was too hard for them. Why was it too hard? Let's move through that. So again, I've asked this coach to really start engaging with their kids with more feedback. Not 5 minutes of chatting, 1 minute, 2 minutes, hands up, thumbs up, how did you feel? That kind of thing. Get the feedback. And I think that when you do that, you start to build more of a relationship with your kids. It gives you a chance to talk to your kids outside of just, here is the game, here's what I want you to do, go. And it really gives you a bit of a time to have a joke with them. We like to have a joke with our kids. We like to laugh about things and be playful. And that's what I feel builds collaboration, rapport, community, and that's what's going to get them to stay, because they're going to start having more fun. Essentially, I went through a few other things that I felt was specific to this particular coach. And like I said, I really like to make sure that everything is really personalized when I'm doing these things. But they were the main two ones that I felt like, yeah, this is really important, and this is something that I'd love to chat to you all about, is the idea of your leaders creating peer learning opportunities, leadership sort of spaces, and creating opportunities for collaboration, open-ended questions, knowing how to ask questions, what kind of questions to ask, to be able to get the feedback that you need to make your sessions better. I really look forward to seeing how this coach progresses. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when he begins to integrate some of these strategies, and what happens if they don't work for his environment too. And part of the challenge of working with personalized coaching is It's my job to help you figure out what works for your environment, because what I give, I hope that it works. Sometimes things are not going to work, and then that's the beauty of it. They can come back and be like, this worked really well, this didn't work. How can we go from here? And I can help to create that particular individualized learning journey for that person. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes. If you're interested in what I do, if you were watching this and you thought this is something that I would really enjoy or get a whole lot of benefit out of, I'm gonna leave the link directly below this video. It is my personalized coaching package, and I do have a special going at the moment with this. Take a look. It is application. Pop your name in, pop your details, let me know what you're kind of needing throughout your personalized coaching journey, and I will get back to you within 24 hours and we can sort out something. It is limited. I only take on very few coaches throughout the month because I really want to be able to give my coaches everything that I can. I only have 2 spots left for the month of October. So if this is something that you're interested in, please jump on and do this now. I feel like it's gonna get snapped up pretty quickly. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to my channel and follow along on the Art of Coaching Instagram, where I share daily tips and tricks for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coaches just like you. Also, I have just launched my very first community on School, and you can find it at the Art of Coaching community. This is where I'm also creating an opportunity for coaches to be together, to collaborate, to have questions answered, to be supported in a group coaching environment. This is not personalized, but it is certainly a way for you to be able to be part of something that I think is really special and a movement that we're going to create in Kids Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.